Right, okay. Good evening if you're in Australia. If you're in the UK, it'll be a different time. You're probably asleep and not watching. Now, what I've been doing is I've been trying to figure out the best way to get messages out there, really. Spotify, absolutely bloody useless if you ask me. I'm not going to whinge on too much. There's no point in doing that. I want to be positive about things, but I don't even know if anybody's watching the Spotify podcast, right? I have no idea. You can't find it out. You do a search for it, never turns up. Anyway, this is okay. So let's do this. The other thing about it is every time when you do one of these podcasts or you do a YouTube thing, you have to put all this detail in. What is the title? What's it about, this video? So I'm not going to do that, right? So what you'll see is I'm going to do Wednesday because it's Wednesday today, right? That's all I'm going to do. I'll do it in Facebook in my day job. I'll tell you a bit about my day job in a minute. And when the description about it is stuff that's happened during the day. There's no point going on and trying to figure out something interesting or imaginative or something that's going to pull you in. If you don't want to listen to it, don't listen to it. All right. Let me tell you a bit about what I'm doing. So, Tales from the Cell. I think I've mentioned this before. It looks like I'm in a prison cell, doesn't it? Probably an open prison, not to maximum security, because otherwise I'd have a bloke in a bunk bed behind me, presumably, or be just behind me. So, anyway, the reason is I'm down in a place called West Wyalong. I'll tell you a bit about it. It's in the Riverina region of New South Wales. And just to drill down a little bit further, I am in what's called Blandshire. Yeah, can you believe that? Blandshire, and this is honestly true, is actually twinned with two towns, right? There's Boring in Oregon. Honestly, it's true. And there's another one. It's another one in Scotland. What's the one in Scotland called? Dull. It's called Dull. So there's one in Scotland called Dull. So they teamed up and they call themselves the League of Extraordinary Councils, right? Fair dues. They're trying to make fun of it. Now, these places are basically named after people. Bland is named after somebody, so is Dull and so is Boring. And anyway, they got together and basically make a little bit of fun out of it, which is great. When you used to drive into Blandshire, there was a sign there. They've taken it down now, which I think is a real shame. And it used to say Bland, not Dull and not Boring. No, because it's a different place. Anyway, that said, it's quite a big place by European or UK standards, right? So it covers over 8,000 square kilometres. If you compare that, for example, with Wales, right? Half of Wales is 10,000 square kilometres. Half of the whole of Wales, 10,000 square kilometres. So this place is not that far off, been half the size of Wales. I know Wales very well, having lived in Abergavenny for a long, long time, worked on papers there, which brings me to what I'm doing here. So I'm working on this paper. I'm managing editor of the West. I'm going to look at the camera now. The West. Isn't that annoying? Why isn't the camera right there in front of you, right? It's always up there, isn't it? It's up there. So you've got to get your neck up like this and go, hello there. How you doing? Can you see me on the camera? Anyway, managing editor, West Wyalong Advocate. I'll say that again, West Wyalong Advocate. It's a newspaper. It's been around, as many have here, for about 120 years or so, 130 years. Struggling. I'm here trying to keep it going, trying to revive it, trying to get a digital presence up. When I first came here, just only 8 months ago, they had no digital presence. If you wanted to find out anything about this newspaper, you had to come here, right? It didn't have a website. It didn't have a Facebook page or any other social media. So within a little while, a short while, and the reason they employed me was because they wanted to get the digital presence. You've got to, right? Okay. The print is a real hard thing now. I lived through those days when print was really popular. It was the only thing, really, to be quite frank. It's the only way you could get your news. So it was important, and these days, not so much because people think, and I say think, they're getting their news on Facebook, for example. When I started a digital news service in the Hawkesbury, though, the Hawkesbury is near Sydney. It's about 70 kilometres outside Sydney, foothills of the Blue Mountains, right? And when I started doing that, I was talking to a friend of mine. She ran oh, she still runs a bottle shop there, like an off license or an offie, as you might say in Britain. Probably they're called bottle shops in the US, or something completely different that we've never heard of before. Two countries separated by a common language. And yeah, anyway, the point being, I've lost my thread there because I keep interrupting myself. There's no excuse for it, really. It's ridiculous. Anyway, so I started Hawkesbury Post, digital news service. As I was starting it, I said to this friend of mine in the bottle shop, I said, hey, listen, I'm going to do this. She said, well, we get all our news already. I said, where'd you get your news from? She said, from Facebook. I said, it's not news, it's gossip. It's just gossip. Anyway, I don't want to bang on about that too much, but basically it is, all right? Somebody puts an event up, there's going to be something on at the park this weekend. Fair enough. Okay, pretty straightforward. But you get people going like, yeah, that road's been closed by floods. 9 times out of 10, it hasn't, right? And it takes a journalist to find that out, to phone people up, like the police, emergency services, find out what's going on, right? Your lazy people on Facebook, they just chuck something up because they want to get people following them, giving them clicks, giving them likes. It's ridiculous. So the job of a journalist is more complicated now than it was back when I started, when I was 18, and I went on a newspaper, local paper. That was the only place people would really get proper news. So you had a respect, people respected what you did. Where I used to live, Abergavenny, they used to call me Scoop. Everybody called me Scoop. I go in the pub, they go, Scoop, how you doing? Things have changed. Anyway, all right, here I am in Australia, which is another story we can talk about some other time. But I'm on this paper. I'm in this area, which is a farming area, essentially, right? Regional New South Wales. 500 kilometres from Sydney, 500 kilometres from Melbourne. It's pretty much in the middle there. Blantyre, which, as I say, is almost half the size of Wales, has a population of 6,500 people. The main town is West Wyalong. There's about 3,000 live there in total. There's a gold mine 45 kilometres out of town. Provides employment for a lot of people. It's really why the town is reasonably prosperous. There's a sense of calm here, I would say. People are confident in themselves. I'm hesitant about it a bit because the more I learn about this place, there's always stuff under the surface, right? It's always the way. And there are issues here. There are issues with domestic violence, although that's an issue across Australia and probably across most of the Western world and probably across the world in general. And we can talk about that actually at some length later on because I've got some views about that and also some facts. Facts are always useful, aren't they? I like facts because there are only facts. There are no alternate facts. Anyway, I'm not going down there. Okay, so this place. It's a nice, pleasant place. Everybody's pleasant. Everybody really likes to talk, stop you in the street. Everybody knows who I am, even though I don't know everybody. People come up to me in the street or an event and they go, hey, Tony, how's it going? I have no idea who most of them are, but they know me, right? Small community. But I've met quite a few people who've moved here. And usually they've moved here for a short time, like they're taking over something briefly, or they're starting a business and they don't intend to stay. Mostly they stay. And the reason is they like the people. That's what it comes down to. So it's an interesting one. So Wednesday, what happened today? Here are the stories I do on Wednesday. It's cold here, right? One thing I do in the morning, first thing, if I'm up early enough, I do a dawn shot. The dawns are beautiful here, right? It's very wide open. There are no major hills or anything, so you can see the sky. The sky is what you would call big. And the Americans often talk about big sky, don't they? Montana, I think, places like that. I have no idea where that is. It's somewhere in America. But the skies are big here too. And the dawns are great. And the sunsets are great. After a while, you actually get used to them and you don't even think about it too much, but they're quite stunning. They really are. So I do a post every morning on Facebook. And I go, it's a simple thing, right? And I go, Wednesday, da-da-da. And then I talk about the weather. I get it from the Bureau of Meteorology, which is the obviously the official forecaster here in Australia. So I get that. I put a little post up talking about the weather, what it's going to be like. It seems simple. People love it. They really love it. Somebody did say to me the other day, it's about engagement, and that is actually true. It is actually true. It's about engagement. It's about getting people together, forming a community, if you like, okay? And then you write the news and you do it properly, and then they start trusting you. Once they start trusting you, they come back all the time because they know the news, the facts are going to be on the Facebook and they're going to be on the website. We don't have a website yet. Can you believe that? Like I was saying at the beginning, I think I interrupted myself too much. When I came here for an interview, I wanted to research, obviously, before, went online. The only thing I could find out about the paper was a little Wikipedia mention. It was hardly anything about when it started, what names it had in the past before it became the West Wyalong Advocate. So because there was no website and there was no Facebook, you couldn't find out anything else about it. You had to come here and buy a copy of the paper. It's the only way you could find out what's going on. It's ludicrous in this day and age. Anyway, I came along. I talked for ages and ages to them, as I do, to the board, and I got offered the job. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to give it a bit of a try. And that's why I'm here. I've been here 8 months now. I go back home to the Hawkesbury. Often, every month, I go back there. We'll talk about that a bit more later. You know, there are reasons why I'm here and not there, I suppose. One of them is work. One of them is money. Talking of money, it pays really badly. Journalism is not a well-paid job, not unless you're right at the height of the job. Okay, that's pretty mangled language. Not unless you're working on a daily newspaper. Some of them still exist. Or you're really into a successful digital operation. And honestly, there are not many successful digital operations because no media has successfully cracked that. They really haven't. Some will tell you they have, but they really haven't. Anyway, there we go. Interesting thing today. So what did I do today? I go in. I do the dawn shot. Nobody else is in. Streets are empty. Often when I do the dawn shot, I go, oh yeah, it's 6:30, 7 o'clock, whatever it is. And there's nobody in the streets and there's no parked cars. Why? Because there's nothing open. Okay. Nobody's going to be up. Most people are asleep unless they're on shifts and going to work. Some people going to work early, obviously. You always get some numpty come on and go, rush hour in West Wyalong. Sorry, I don't know why I had that accent. They go, yeah, mate, rush hour in West Wyalong. What's going on? And you think, oh my God, after a while you get a bit fed up of it, right? Because it's obvious that the shops are not open. Sometimes I have to say to people, yeah, it's because everybody's asleep still. I'm the only one up because I'm an early riser. So that's the thing. Get in early, do my dawn shot, do a bit of work, okay? Do a bit of writing, nice and quiet. It's great. Then what happens is the staff arrive. I've got a big staff, 2 people. Neither of them think they need to report to me. That's the funny thing. Because they've been there for a long, long time, they want to do things the way they've always done them. So that's a bit of a challenge. One's been there 18 years. The other one's been there about 35 or 40 years. And the editor I took over from, I've been there 45 years. Can you believe? 45 years in the same job. Now, they all think the way they've been doing it is the way it should be done. But I've got to say, it's totally different there to the way it's done anywhere else. I won't go into the boring details about the differences, but trust me, it's a bit of an issue. I'm getting there bit by bit, okay? Anyway, what I love about it is the people. I'm going out a lot. I work most weekends, go to sports events. I don't have a sports bone in my body. I was always one of those who, when we played football, soccer, I was always on the sidelines. I used to just run up and down the sidelines or jog up and down the sidelines, really keeping out of the action. I didn't really want to get involved with it. I was never good at sport. There's no sport I've ever been good at. Darts, reasonably good at that. It's not really a sport, is it, though? Just chucking sharp implements on a bit of cork board. But anyway, point is, so I do that, right? I get in there, do a bit of work, and then I've got a few jobs to do. I go out and interview people, or people phone me up. And I went to see these people today who are raising money for St. Vincent de Paul, which is like, they're like the Salvation Army, I suppose, the Salvos, as they call them here. Incidentally, that's another thing. Everything's always shortened in Australia. Let me go on about that for a little bit. No, I won't. I'll talk about that another day. So anyway, I go to talk to these women at St Vincent de Paul because they're raising money and they're going out. They said to me jokingly, "Oh, we're out on the streets, plying our wares." Not they're going to businesses and talking to them and saying, "Hey, listen, give us some money, give us a donation because this is our annual, fundraising effort, right?" Which is great. It's really good. It's a good organisation. They don't get any support from the government. It's totally donations, and they have shops like the Salvos have, and they sell secondhand clothes or whatever. The Vinnie's shop in West Wyalong is brilliant. It's really, really good. One of the best. It was designed by people from Canberra, the capital. Came down apparently, took a lot of time designing it and setting it up. It's great. It's a really good shop, And yes, some of the ladies in there are slightly deaf, and it is hard if you want to get a spoon, for example. But still, you can go and have a look, and it's all great. I went down there. When I arrive, there's 4 women sitting around in an office. I go inside. It's very cold today. They asked me to come in. I go in the office, and they're talking. And one of them there, the main person, I don't know these people really, main person talking. And she said, "Oh, look, don't mind us. I'm just finishing this story." And I said, "Yeah, that's okay. No problem at all." And what she was doing, she was telling a sexual joke. I mean, I'm telling you, this was a real sort of kind of blue sexual joke, right? Including anal sex. These are women in their 60s, 70s, and 80s, right? And they're sitting there listening to this, She's telling this joke. I'm not sure all of them got it at the end, as it were. But it was an interesting experience, that's for sure. Anyway, that finished. And then one of the women said to me, "Oh, I really love your accent. I wish you would just keep talking." My accent, any English person's accent, it's a polarizing thing, right? Particularly in Australia, or maybe everywhere you go overseas, even in Britain, probably. Some people love it. I've actually got a job once because the woman who interviewed me loved my accent. She told me this afterwards. She said, "Yeah, I only gave you the job because I really wanted you around so I could hear you talking all the time." Jesus Christ. A bit depressing, really, because I thought I'm the best person for the job. Not really. Just the voice was good, She loved it. Anyway, this woman said to me, "I love it. I wish you could just speak to me all the time." Now, I'm a bloke. If you wind that back, and I was 25 and she was 32, right? Well, it would have been game on, wouldn't it? I guess, if I'd have taken the opportunity. But I'm thinking, no, you're about 89. You're a lovely person. I'm also getting on a bit, and it wouldn't be right. No. So we didn't go there. I'll tell you a story about that sort of thing as well. Men's sexual urges and the curse of man, as my friend John so ably put it, I think, once. We'll talk about that. I could do a whole video on that, so we won't talk about it now. Anyway, that was that. Took some pictures of him outside, and I've got to tell you another funny thing. So the office that we're in now, it used to be for many, many years, it was a doctor's office, right? Now, a surgery, if you like, a general practice. So I didn't know this. And I was talking to a woman one day in one of the pubs because I did a photo shoot of women in business, right? And it was for International Women's Day. I thought this is a really good idea. I got a photographer, a local photographer who's really good to take a picture of all these ladies, business women, down in the street. They're standing in the street and taken from the balcony of a pub. Wonderful shot. Used it on the front cover. "These women mean business" was my headline. Have a think about it. And it was great. It was a really good thing. One of the women there, she had this story about a family album of photographs which had been discovered on a tip. It had been chucked out apparently by accident by another relative. It was clearing the house out. And what happened was, this is the thing about the small, close-knit community. Somebody in the library, so somebody had taken the book in, they'd found it in the tip, probably a tip worker, okay? They'd found it and they'd taken it to the library and said, "Do you know any of these people?" And the librarian there happened to know one of the relatives in the pictures and realised the book belonged to the family of this lady, Meg, her name was, or name is. Lovely person. And she was telling this story in the pub. I said, "That is a brilliant story, Meg. I said, come in the office tomorrow. We can talk about it more, and I'll take a photograph as well, and then we'll do a story on it, right? Great story, really great story. She said, yeah. She comes in. She's very ebullient, you know, a bit over the top. She comes in the office. I'm there by myself. That's another weird thing. So they don't open 5 days a week. They only open 3 days a week. I open 5 days a week, right? Since I've been there, because I want people to come in and give me stories and talk to me. And sometimes they just come in and have a bit of a chat about the weather or whatever. That's fine. Meg comes in. She comes into the office. Me and her there by ourselves. And she said to me, you know, the funny thing is, the last time I was in this office, I was told to take my clothes off and spread my legs. What? Seriously, I looked at her. I didn't know what to say. I said, well, I didn't know what to say. I said, well, I won't be asking you to do that. She said, and she laughed, and she said, it used to be a doctor's surgery. I used to come in here quite often. Oh, my God. I said, right, okay, thanks very much for that. It was a bit of a shock, really, to be perfectly honest with you. Anyway, that was that, and we got the story together and all that. She didn't take her clothes off. Yeah, anyway. So that was that. I'm not really sure what else I'm going to talk about today. What else happened to me today? Okay, went to talk to these people at the local post office. They've been there 5 years. May not seem like a big thing, but 5 years, you know, right? So I'm going to do a story on that as well. So that was what I was doing. And I did a story. I did a picture of the ladies who are going out collecting money for St. Vincent de Paul. Put that up on Facebook. A lot of people interested in it. So it's really good. So that's my day. Anyway, look, I reckon that's about it. It's been 21 minutes. That's enough for anybody to be listening to me. But look, tune in. Let me know what you think. And yeah, just, you know, let's have a bit of a conversation, because I like to talk, as you can gather. But I've got a few things to say, you know, and probably we can have a bit of a laugh too. So good. Anyway, look, all good. And I'm going to go and do the washing up now. Yeah, that's right. That's my life. And you have a good evening or morning or afternoon, depending on where you are in the world. Talk to you again soon.